Namaste and good evening. We'll start our class with the prayers. Om Gurur Brahma Gurur Vishnu Gurur Devo Maheshwaraha Guru Sakshat Parabrahma Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Om Sahana Vavatu Sahanao Bhunattu Saha Viryam Karvavahai तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Now we'll chant Mahamrityunjaya mantra 3 times to pray for those who are in suffering. Om Trayambakam Yajamahe Sugandhim Pushtivardhanam Urvarukam Iva Bandhanan Mrityormukshiyamamrutat. Om Trayambakam Yajamahe Sugandhim Pushtivardhanam Urvarukam Iva Bandhanan Mrityormukshiyamamrutat. Om Trayambakam Yajamahe Sugandhim Pushtivardhanam Urvarukam Iva Bandhanan Mrityormukshiyamamrutat. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Welcome everyone. We'll continue our story of Lord Rama from the previous class. Today is the class 9th. So in the previous couple of classes we had discussed the causes of birth of Lord Rama. So Lord Shiva tells Parvati that the causes are innumerable. You cannot say this is the cause why the Lord Absolute takes the birth as a human being. How come the formless assumes the form? He gave this example of just the water and ice. They are the same thing, but ice is a form, water is relatively speaking formless. So in the last class I told you the story of Pratapabhanu, the king who was cursed by Brahmins to become a demon, and he became Ravana. And Ravana came out to be very, very powerful demon, and he created such a reign of terror both on the earth and in the heavens that everybody was trying to figure out what to do about it. They could not. They sought Lord's help, and Lord assured them that, look, I'll myself come to the earthly plane as a human being. I'll take the birth and then I'll kill this demon. So just be a little patient and rest assured that your problems are taken care of. And therefore Lord took the birth as Lord Rama. So this was the last story which Lord Shiva told about the cause of birth of Lord Rama. So today we will get into the story proper of Lord Rama. So from today onwards you will see after the birth of Lord Rama, the story continues. So you can say the main story of Ramcharitmanas, main story of Lord Rama, his life, that it continues from today. So I'll just chant a few verses. यह सब रुचिर चरित में भाषा, अब सो सुनहु जो बीच ही राखा। अवधपुरी रघुकुल मनि राउ, वेद विदित तेहि दशरथ नाउ। धर्म धुरंधर गुण निधि ज्ञानी, हृदय भगत मति सारंग पानी। कौसल्यादि नार प्रिय सब आचरण पुनीत, पति अनुकूल प्रेम दृढ़ हरिपद कमल विनीत. So he is saying that Avadhpuri, this is a city currently known as Ayodhya in northern India. So this city, this kingdom, there was a king called Dasharatha. Dasharatha was the name of the king. And this Ayodhya ruled King Dasharatha. He had 3 wives, Kausalya, Sumitra and Kaikeyi. I'll just show you the name. Kausalya, Sumitra and Kaikeyi. So Dasharatha had 3 wives. We'll come back to that again. So here the poet is describing, the Tulsidas is describing about King Dasharatha, that he is a very, very devoted person. He is a very good, great king. His mind is given to dharma and knowledge. And everything is good in the kingdom. It is a prosperous kingdom. He is taking care of the subjects well. And that's how he is ruling the kingdom. एक बार भूपति मन माही, भय गलान मोरे सुत नाही, गुरु गृह गयो तुरत महिपाला, चरण लागी कर विनय विशाला. So once king is looking at himself in the mirror and he saw white strands of hair, and he got a little bit concerned that my old age is coming, I'm getting old, but I don't have any son to succeed me on the throne. So he got very worried about it. And he goes to his guru's place. His guru's name is Vasishtha. So I'll just write it here. Vasishtha. So Vasishtha is the name of the guru. He is the royal guru because he is the guru of the king and also a royal priest. So king goes to him, bows down to him, and says that, "Oh my master, I don't have a son and this is the worry which is eating me up. Please help me." You see, this is a part of the Vedic culture where king is not supreme. King is falling down at the feet of his guru. The spiritual person, the one who is the person of knowledge, he is supreme. So even though king has all the power and administration, but the status-wise, a man of knowledge, a man of spiritual perception is considered superior. So Vasishtha here says that, okay, don't worry about it. I'll do a fire ceremony for you, in which the fire ceremony with the intention that you should get the sun. And Vasishtha was a great man of knowledge and penance and meditation. So he invited some other priests and Brahmins to perform this fire ceremony. And the name of the fire ceremony is Putra Kameshti Yajna. That means the fire ceremony performed with the intention of getting a son. These are all Vedic ceremonies. Some of them are lost to us in the modern times, but earlier people had the great faith in them and they knew the procedure, and many a times they were coming successful. So he invited a very learned person, learned sage, Vasishtha. He invites a person called Rishyashram. You don't worry about the name right now, but I'm just telling for those who are interested. Rishyashram was the person who was invited to perform this fire ceremony, the Vedic fire ceremony to get the sun. And he was so powerful, he was such a man of knowledge, that at the end of fire ceremony, the fire god himself, he comes out with a bowl of rice pudding in his hand. And he tells king that, give this rice pudding to your queens, they will get pregnant. you will have sons, and not just one. Vasishtha told the king that you will have more than one son. So now I'll show you the tree here, the family tree. So Dasharatha has 3 queens: Kaushalya, Sumitra, and Kaikeyi. So Kaushalya is the first wife. She is the chief queen. Then he married to Sumitra. Then he married to Kaikeyi. Part of the reason why Dasharatha married, because that was a custom to have multiple wives, and also because he did not have a son, he wanted a son, so he married three queens. Some places it is said that he had more, but names of 3 comes anyway. So Kausalya is given to lot of good conduct. She is the chief queen. She is the first wife of Dasharatha, and she has the major share of any kingly duties which she has to perform along with the king. Sumitra is the very wise one. She does not lose her cool no matter what happens. She always very steady, very wise queen. Kaikeyi is the very beautiful. She is the most beautiful, but not so steady in mind. So this is the character of these 3 queens of Dasharatha. Dasharatha loved Kaikeyi most, even though Kaushalya was the chief queen, but he loved the Kaikeyi most because she was the most beautiful. And Kaikeyi was devoted to Dasharatha also. So the way he gives this paisam, the rice pudding, to his queens, this is the way he distributed. Ardh bhag Kausalya hi deena, ubhay bhag aadhe kar keena, Kaikeyi kehen rup so dayau, raiyo so ubhay bhag puni bhayau, Kausalya Kaikeyi haath dhari, deen Sumitra hi man prasanna kari. What he does is he gives the half of the paisam to Kausalya, and the remaining half he does 2 parts again. One of the part of the remaining he gives to Kaikeyi, and then again whatever is remaining, that 1/4 of the total, he again makes 2 parts, and he gives one to Kausalya, one to Kaikeyi, indicating to them that you give it to Sumitra. So both of them give to 1/8 of the total, 1/8 of the total to Sumitra. So Sumitra that way gets 2 parts, and accordingly they have the sons. So Kausalya gives the birth to Lord Rama, who is the eldest. Kaikeyi gives the birth to Bharata, next one. Kaikeyi gives the birth to Bharata, Kausalya to Rama, and Sumitra, she got 2 parts. She gives the birth to Lakshmana and Shatrughna, 2 sons. Lakshmana is very devoted to Rama. He is almost like a shadow of Rama. And Shatrughna is in the same manner, similarly, he is devoted to Bharata. Even though Rama being the eldest, all the other 3 brothers, they are extremely devoted to him. But Lakshmana physically would not leave the company of Rama, no matter what. So then the Tulsidas ji is describing the birth of Lord Rama, and it's a very beautiful prayer. I'll just read this prayer. I'm not a very good singer, as you might have noticed by now, but I'll just sing it whatever I can, and then maybe you can enjoy if you know this. Naumi tithi madhumasa punita, sukal pach avijit hariprita, madhya divas atisit naghama, pavan kal loka vishrama. So Lord Rama was born on the 9th day of the bright half of the sacred month of Chaitra, which typically falls in the month of March. The moon had entered in a particular nakshatra called Abhijit, which is considered holy nakshatra. He was born in the daytime, like right in the midday, and the day was neither very cold nor hot, because in that month the weather is pretty good. So then this is the prayer. This the stotram, the hymn which many people sing. It's a very beautiful hymn to describe the birth of the Lord or his coming to the earth. भई प्रगट कृपाला दीन दयाला कौसल्या हितकारी हर्षित महतारी मुनि मनहारी अद्भुत रूप विचारी लोचन अभिरामा तनु घन श्यामा निज आयुध भुज चारी भूषण वनमाला नयन विशाला शोभा सिंधु खरारी कह दुई कर जोरी स्तुति तोरी केहि विधि करो अनंता माया गुण ज्ञानातीत अमाना वेद पुराण भनंता करुणा सुख सागर सब गुण आगर जेहि गावहि श्रुति संता सो मम हित लागी जन अनुरागी भयउ प्रगट श्रीकंता ब्रह्मांड निकाया निर्मित माया रोम रोम प्रतिवेद कहे मम उर सोबासी यह उपहासी सुनत धीर मति थिर न रहे उपजा जब ज्ञाना प्रभु मुस्काना चरित बहुत विधि कीन चहे कही कथा सुहाई मात बुझाई जेहि प्रकार सुत प्रेम लहे माता पुनि बोली सोमति डोली तजहु तात यह रूपा की जैसे सुलीला अति प्रियशीला यह सुख परम अनूपा सुनि बचन सुजाना रोदन ठाना होई बालक सुर भूपा यह चरित जेगा वहीं हरिपद पावहीं तेन परहि भवकूपा विप्रधेनु सुर संत हित लीन मनुज अवतार निज इच्छा निर्मित तनु माया गुण गोपाल. Many people, some of you who have studied Manas earlier, they would be familiar with this hymn. It's a very beautiful hymn. It says that Lord appeared to Kaushalya, and the way he appeared, the way he took birth, he did not come out as a small baby, but he manifested his form, which is with 4 hands and with all his weapons in his hands. That kind of form he manifested in front of Kaushalya. When Kaushalya saw the Lord himself is born as her son, she started praising, she started praying to the Lord. And one thing which she says, very beautiful here, is that the scripture says that there are infinite cosmos in the body of the Lord, as if in every strand of hair there is a cosmos. But the same Lord also became my son, came into my womb. When I contemplate on this, I am not able to understand anything. My intellect does not help me in understanding this mystery. How is that possible? And then when Lord saw that mother is praising and she is not treating him like a son, then he says that he tells about the past birth, that in the past life you had done a lot of penance and you had wished me as your son, so I have been born as your son. But you also requested me that you should never lose this knowledge, this discrimination. Therefore, I show you my form also to give you the secret that even though I'm in the form as your son, I'm the same supreme being as the formless. Then the mother said that if that is so, then you please become like a small baby and behave exactly as my son would behave. I want to enjoy that play also. So then he became a very small baby. He started crying as a normal baby would start crying. And Tulsidas Ji is saying that those who contemplate on this play of Lord, they become free from the bondage of Maya, the delusion. And then he says that for the sake of Brahmanas, that is the men of knowledge, cow is considered very sacred and holy in Vedic culture. So Brahmanas, for the cows, for the gods and for the saints, the Lord who transcends Maya, who is beyond any Maya and beyond the three qualities of Maya, he took birth as a man, assuming a form which is a product of his own will. That means he is not under the control of destiny. He is not under the control of any kind of worldly things, even though he is in the world. But from the very beginning, he is beyond it at the same time. So beautiful hymn. And when Dasharatha hears about the birth of his son, Dasarath putra janma sunikana, manahu brahmananda samana, param prem man pulak sarira, chahat uthat karat mati dhira, kai suta sumitra do, sundar sut janmat bhay o. So when Dasharatha came to know that son is born to him, he felt as if he has attained the realization. The joy he compared ecstasy into Brahman, like one who attains the realization and gets absorbed into Brahman. He had that kind of feeling, that kind of joy, that kind of bliss. And then two sons, I already told you, the two sons were born to Sumitra and one to Kaikeyi. So total Rama is four brothers: Rama, Lakshmana, Bharata, Shatrugna. Rama being the eldest, and all three are extremely devoted to Rama, but Lakshmana is physically always with him. So then Lord does a few childlike plays to give the joy to the parents, to other people in the palace. A few days are spent like this. कछुक दिवस बीते एहि भांति, जात न जानिय दिन अरु राति, नाम करन कर अवसर जानी, भूप बोली पठये मुनि ज्ञानी. So people did not even notice the passing of the days and nights. It was so joyful when Lord is playing his tricks as a child that everybody is so much bliss and joy. Time is just passing. And then the time came for naming ceremony. So again in Vedic culture, there are multiple ceremonies, right from the woman getting pregnant to the birth of the child and thereafter. So one of them is the naming ceremony. We don't decide the name before the birth or just on the whim. There is a procedure, and generally the name is not kept by the parents but by the guru. And even these days, I know many of the disciples who ask Guruji about the name of their children, and they keep that name because people consider coming the name from a holy person, from a man of knowledge, would have much more positive influence of the life of child. So king goes to Vasishtha, his guru, and asks what should be the name. So Vasishtha tells a few qualities of these people and then gives the name. We already know that. I have already told you the names. Rama, the eldest. Bharata, next one. Then Lakshmana and Shatrugna. Then there is one verse here which tells again about Lord showing his real form to Kausalya, his mother. देख रावा मात ही निज अद्भुत रूप अखंड रोम रोम प्रतिलागे कोटि कोटि ब्रह्मंड. So because his mother had asked for knowledge and never lose the sight of that who the Lord is, Lord once more in once time just in the play he revealed his cosmic form, where she could see, the Kausalya, his mother, could see that millions and millions of universes are in the Lord's body. So that's his cosmic form. And then there's one play his as a childhood. Kausalya jab bolan jai, ठुमुक ठुमुक प्रभु चलहि पराई, निगम नेति शिव अंत न पावा, ताहि धरे जननी हठि धावा. So Kausalya sometimes goes to call the child Rama, and he, instead of listening to her, he runs away from her. And then Kausalya runs after him and forcibly catches him and brings him to her. So Lord is describing, the poet is describing a beautiful simile here, beautiful comparison, that the one whom even Vedas only end up saying not this, they also cannot describe it completely. Lord Shiva also cannot come to his end. He only prays endlessly. But here is the play of the Lord, that out of love of devotees, he has taken a form of a baby whom mother goes after him and forcibly catches. प्रातः काल उठ के रघुनाथा, मातु पिता गुरु ना वही माथा, आयसु मागी करहि पुर काजा, देखि चरित हर्षै मन राजा, व्यापक अकल अनीह अज निर्गुण नाम न रूप, भगत हेतु नाना विधि करत चरित्र अनूप. So Lord Rama has grown up. He has gone to the house of the Guru preceptor, that is Vasishtha. So Vasishtha is the royal Guru. So all these children, they also go to Vasishtha's place to learn, to study. And that time the study was not limited to books only, because they were kings. They were the future king, they were princes. So all the things which a prince needs to know, they were taught to them, including the fighting, the weapons. So all those, and Lord Rama learned all those things very quickly. So here one of the things which is explained here is that every morning when he gets up, he will bow down to parents and Guru, and then he will share some of the workload of Dasharatha, asking his permission. So just like, even though he is Lord, when he is playing the human role, he is doing it perfectly well, as per the culture of the place, with lot of humility. And here poet Tulsidas Ji is saying that Lord, who is all pervading, indivisible, desireless, unbegotten, attributeless, and without name or form, perform marvelous acts of various kinds for the sake of his devotees. यह सब चरित कहा मैं गाई, आगिल कथा सुनहु मन लाई, विश्वामित्र महामुनि ज्ञानी, बसहि विपिन शुभ आश्रम जानी. So Lord Rama has grown up. He is a young adult, or I mean the age exactly is not written, but around that, maybe 18, 19, late teenage, or 20, but he has grown up. He is a youthful person. And then Tulsidas ji is telling a little bit of the story from he's telling about Vishwamitra. So Vishwamitra, he was a great sage in those times. And the literal meaning of the word is Vishwamitra, the friend of the world. Vishwa means the world, Mitra means friend, friend of the world. As per the Sanskrit grammar rules, it becomes Vishwamitra instead of Vishwamitra. So he is a great sage, great penance and meditation. He found some place in the forest. He liked that location. He decided to do a lot of fire ceremony. It's a long-term ritual and worship and meditation. So he decided to do that in one part of the forest. He created all the arrangements and everything. Now, if you remember from the previous part of the story, Ravana had ordered all his fellow demons that you should go and destroy wherever you see the fire ceremonies. You kill the people. You try to destroy all these things. So some of his associates, Ravana's associates, they were coming here and they were disturbing the fire ceremony of Vishwamitra. Vishwamitra was an extremely powerful sage. He could have just killed these demons just by the power of his mantra also. Just if he would have cursed them, they will all be finished. But when one has taken the vow of performing this fire ceremony and taken a resolve, there are certain vows that one will not be engaged into violence. So because of that, he was not able to do that. But on the other hand, there was no letting from the side of the demons. They were coming again and again, disturbing the fire ceremonies. So he was not able to complete his resolve of performing this fire ceremony. So then he meditated and thought that what would be the best way out, how to accomplish this task. When he meditated, he realized that Lord himself has taken the birth as human being, and he would be the one who can help me to kill these demons and finish this fire ceremony successfully. When he understood that he decided to go to Ayodhya, the kingdom of Dasharatha, and asked for Rama, Lord Rama, to be sent to him, to be sent with him. So he goes to Dasharatha, he goes to king. And King Dasharatha, when he sees Vishwamitra has come, he became extremely pleased, because it was always considered a very good omen when a spiritual person coming to your kingdom. So he became extremely happy. He bows down to him, receives him, welcomes him, and asks very humbly that I'm so happy that you could come here. What can I do for you? Is there anything I can do? I would be gladly doing. Even if you ask for my life, I will be able to give it to you, because even to sacrifice oneself for the good cause is a good thing. So Vishwamitra, when he heard that, he told king that, "O king, I have this difficulty in performing the fire ceremony, so I have come to ask for your son Rama and also Lakshmana, because Lakshmana is always with him. So Rama and Lakshmana, two sons of yours, I have come here to get them. They will help me to kill these demons and protect the fire ceremony." Now, Dasharatha had gotten these sons in an old age. And generally it is said that if a person is having the sons in the older age, he is much more attached to them. And Dasharatha, of course, was extremely attached, and particularly to Ram. He just could not think of his life without Ram. So when he heard this request of Vishwamitra, he turned pale. And he said humbly that, "O sage, you did not make a proper request. You did not ask me something which is possible for me to do. I myself will come to you with my army and kill those demons and make sure that your fire ceremony is completed. But please don't ask for this. I'm in a great difficult situation to fulfill this request of yours." Vishwamitra became a little bit upset when he heard this. He told king that a moment before you were telling that I'll do whatever you want, and now just such a small thing and you are making such a show. And Dasharatha said, "But they are just children, they are just kids." You see, for the parents, particularly in India, the grown-up children, even if they grown up, they remain children. So Rama is, of course, not very grown up a lot, but for Dasharatha, he is still a very little child. He said, "Where are the demons with so much power and prowess, and where are my sons? Here they are so tender. What kind of solution have you thought about?" And then Vishwamitra is getting further upset, and Dasharatha knew that he could curse the king or kingdom, and it could be a difficult situation. So at that time, Vasishtha, his guru, came, and Vasishtha told Dasharatha, "Look, it is good for Rama also, Rama and Lakshmana, to go with Vishwamitra. They will learn a few things. I have taught them a few things, but Vishwamitra is a great sage. He knows a lot of things. So it will be a good thing. It will be like that they will have a very good opportunity. And they are not as small or as tender as you think they are. So it will be fine. You don't worry about them. They will be in good hands, and it is good for you, for the kingdom, as well as for Rama and Lakshmana." When Guru tells him like that, Dasharatha becomes a little bit more agreeable, and he makes Rama and Lakshmana go with Vishwamitra. When they are going, Rama and Lakshmana with Vishwamitra, now they are treating Vishwamitra as their guru, because he is with them, and they are going as students, even though they are going to help him, but they are treating him as guru. So Vishwamitra, when they are going on the way, Vishwamitra tells that, "Look, now we are entering into the part of the forest where the terror of demons start. So be very careful. You keep your bow and arrow out. Be ready with your weapons to be facing any eventuality." So Rama and Lakshmana, they said, "No problem." And they were well equipped and well ready, that no matter what the problem comes, you please don't worry, we'll take care of it. The first demon who they encountered, it was a woman called Tadka. And she was extremely ferocious. She was throwing like huge boulders onto them. And when Vishwamitra saw her, and he tells Rama that, "Kill her." And Rama became now in a little bit fix. On the one hand, Guru is saying that kill this demon, but she is a female, she is a woman. And Rama that was the custom of the times, that to kill a woman is considered a great dismerit, a great sin kind of thing. It was something which a noble person will never do, even if the woman is at fault. So, but now Lord Rama is in a little fix, what to do. When Vishwamitra perceives Lord Rama in a little bit fix, he again insists, "Look, I am telling you, she is not a ordinary woman. She is a very ferocious demon. She has taken many lives, and it is your duty. You must kill her right now. And Lord Rama obeys, and he kills Tadaka. Then they reach the hermitage of the sage, and sage was extremely happy. Vishwamitra was extremely happy that Rama followed his orders and killed this demon Tadaka. And he says, look, even though you know a lot of things, but I have done a lot of penance in my life. Vishwamitra earlier was a king, and he performed a lot of meditation and prayer and penance to attain a lot of power. So as a result, he got a lot of divine weapons. And he said, I'll give you all those divine weapons. I'll give you the knowledge. They are controlled by mantras. So I'll give you all those weapons to you. And I'll also teach you some mantras by which you can win over the urge for food, thirst, hunger and thirst, and sleep also you can control. So Vishwamitra initiates and teaches Rama and Lakshmana all those things. And then he says, look, now I am going to perform this fire ceremony. And these are the demons who are coming again and again to disturb it. So please make sure that nobody comes here and this fire ceremony gets successfully completed. And Rama and Lakshmana says, absolutely, no problem. You please perform your fire ceremony without a worry. We'll take care of everything. And demons come. Rama kills one demon. He throws away another demon a very long distance. The demon he threw away was Maricha. That name will come later in the story, so I'm just telling you. Maricha. So this name will come later. I'll again connect to you when it comes later. So, and then whoever came, they were either made to run away or they were killed. So finally, Vishwamitra could complete his resolve of performing this fire ceremony, which he was performing for the good of the world. And he was able to complete this without any problems. When Vishwamitra was finally able to complete this, he was extremely happy with Rama and Lakshmana. He gives even more forms of divine weapons and other sciences. He teaches them other things. Then once that fire ceremony was done, that purpose was resolved, he could send them back to Dashratha. But he said, look, there is a great festival going on in a nearby kingdom. I would like that you could come. I'm going there. I'm invited there. You also come with me and enjoy the festival. It's a very nice place. And Rama and Lakshmana said, okay, for sure. You are our guru and absolutely. So the king, the place was Mithila. I'll increase the font a little bit so you can see. So the place was Mithila. That is the kingdom where Vishwamitra was going. And it was ruled by Janaka. The king's name was Janaka. And his daughter is Sita. So it was a ceremony, the festival. It was a bow festival, like bow and arrow. So there was a great bow. That bow belonged to Lord Shiva. And what Janaka had done, he had made an arrangement that whoever can break that bow of Lord Shiva, he will marry my daughter Sita. So that was the festival. I told you in one of the previous classes that the tradition was at that time of doing Swayambara. Swayambara means the girl chooses the husband herself. And tradition was that all the announcement will be made that my daughter is of marriageable age, she will choose her husband, and all the people, kings and princes who were interested, they would come there, and it could be as simple as that. She will just choose her husband, the lady will just choose her husband, or there could be a condition that the potential suitor had to fulfill in order to get the daughter. So in this case, it was a condition which Janaka had put in. That bow was extremely heavy. And he had, because of that heaviness, not everybody was capable of breaking it, let alone breaking, even to move it, it was extremely difficult. So Janaka knew about that, and he knew that one had to be extremely powerful in order to break this bow. And he wanted somebody who is that brave and powerful for his daughter. So he made that condition, that one who breaks that bow would marry my daughter Sita. So that was the ceremony. And it was all because there is a fire ceremony involved. In Sanskrit, it is called Dhanush Yajna, or the ceremony of the bow. So that is the ceremony for which Vishwamitra wanted Rama to go, and it's a great celebration, and he just wanted them to enjoy. So they reached there. King Janaka, when he hears that Vishwamitra has come, he comes out of his kingdom, receives Vishwamitra, and when he sees Rama and Lakshmana, he gets almost transfixed to see their beauty, to see such an amazing person. And Janaka is said to be a man of knowledge. He is a realized person. And he says, my mind, which is always roaming in the absolute, is as if forcibly coming down to enjoy the beauty, to enjoy the company of these two boys. Who are these? Are they sons of the sages? Are they sons of kings? Or are they, is it like Lord himself has taken a form and come? So Vishwamitra doesn't say clearly, he just says, whatever you are saying is correct, but they are the sons of Dasharatha, the king of Ayodhya. So Janaka, King Janaka, he receives all of them very cordially, gives them a place in the kingdom. And the Lakshmana, he is also referred to as Lakhan. He wants to see the place. So here it is. Lakhan hruday lalsa visheshi jai Janakpur aaye dekhi prabhu bhai bahuri munhi saku chahi pragat na kahi manahi muskahi. So Lakshmana wanted to go to visit the place. A new place, he has come, a natural desire, want to go for sightseeing. But he had lot of hesitation to ask, to make this request in front of his elder brother. So for Lakshmana, Rama was not just an elder brother. Rama was his God, Rama was his guru, Rama was his father, everything. So Lakshmana was so devoted to Lord Rama that everything is Lord Rama for him. His brother, his everything. So he would always be in the awe of the Lord Rama. And he also, his guru is there, Muni Sage Vishwamitra. So because of that, he did not say it openly. But Lord Rama understood, and he tells Vishwamitra on his behalf, look, may I make a request to you? There is a desire in heart of Lakshmana to go for sightseeing. I'll just quickly take him and bring him back quickly. Is it okay? I ask for your permission. And Sage Vishwamitra was extremely pleased to hear this request. He said, how is it possible that you do not follow the proper conduct? So of course my permission is there. Please go, have the comfortably sightseeing, and then you come back happily. So they go for sightseeing, they go for the place. Whoever sees them, they are just amazed, they are mesmerized. It is said that his beauty was such, and many people who, sages and saints who saw the vision of, who have seen the vision of Lord Rama, they say that it is so amazing, so mesmerizing that you just cannot think of anything else. Whole your mind gets focused in Rama. So whoever is seeing, they are just amazed in Janakpur. They are going on the roads and people are seeing, and they just can't believe that we are such fortunate to be able to see these princes. And some of them express the wish that we have this Swayamvar of Janaki. Maybe he is the right person to marry Sita. Is it possible? Like that they are talking about. And then these two brothers, after doing the sightseeing, they come back. And here is one verse that how are they living there with Guru. उठे लखन ने विगत सुने अरुण सिखा धुनि कान गुरु ते पहले जगतपति जागे राम सुजान. So in India, in Vedic culture, the right time to get up is considered Brahmurta. Brahmurta is typically 2 hours before the sunrise. Generally, we say 4 a.m. It's a rough estimate, considering sunrise at around 6 a.m. But technically, the Brahmurta is 2 hours before sunrise. Even Guruji has said multiple times for the meditation that is considered one of the best times. So in the olden times, these days we can put an alarm and get up. In the olden times, people would get up by the cooing of the cock. So it is said that he would coo at that hour. So Lakshmana would get up at that time when he hears the cockcrow cooing, and even Rama would get up, who is the Lord of the universe, also woke up before his preceptor. So it was always considered that disciples should wake up before the Guru and go to bed after Guru goes to bed. And Lord Rama was following all those conduct. Then after getting up, taking care of their daily routine, they will again come to Guru and serve him. So in this case, Guru asked him, Vishwamitra, that can you go and pick some flowers from the garden nearby and for my worship. And they go to the garden. So in garden, they see Sita, because Sita had also come there, and we will discuss that episode. It's a beautiful episode in our next class. Our time is coming to an end for the class. So any questions or comments, you can please write in the chat. Okay, so here is the question. It's a long question. Pranam Swamiji, I have a question from earlier classes. In the story of Lord Shiva and Sati, Lord Rama is in the human form of Lord Brahma. Not Lord Brahma. He is basically human form, Lord in the human form. While in the story of sage Narada's delusion, Lord Rama is to become an incarnation of Lord Vishnu. Is it that Lord Rama is an incarnation of both Lord Brahma and the creator, and Lord Vishnu, the preserver? That's the question. So in Vedic culture, Lord is one. It's not that Lords are many. So God is one. And his aspects, they are given their own names and forms. So like creative aspect is known as Brahma. The sustaining aspect is known as Vishnu. The dissolving aspect is known as Shiva. So it is like a person who is going to the office, he is known as operations manager. At home, he is father to a child. Same person. But the son does not see him as the operations manager. In the office, they don't see him as father. So in Vedic culture, these deities are given their names and different forms. So in that sense, everybody is Lord. That's why we say Lord Shiva, Lord Vishnu, Lord Brahma. Generally, the worship of Lord Brahma is not there. Lord Vishnu and Lord Shiva are worshipped. So, because Lord Vishnu is for the sustaining, and most of the times when Lord comes to the earth, it is to sustain dharma, it is to preserve dharma. So it is Lord Vishnu who takes the incarnation. But it's Lord himself. It is not like, so that's why many places you will see that it says that the God Absolute, thousands and thousands of Brahma, Vishnu and Mahesh, that Brahma, Vishnu and Shiva, they come and go. So in that sense also it is written. So Rama is the incarnation of Lord himself. In the relative sense, he is the incarnation of Lord Vishnu. So when Narada met, he met Lord Vishnu. And he cursed Lord Vishnu that you have to take the birth as a human being on the earthly plane. So in that sense, I hope it is clear. It's not the Brahma, but even though if you take it as Lord himself, he is responsible for all the functions. He is creation, preservation, and dissolution. But individually, we also have the deities and their names and forms. There is another question. You said Lord Rama told his mother he was the Lord. This happened when he was a baby. Is that correct? There is a question mark. Yes, that is correct. He actually manifested himself in the form of Lord Vishnu, which is the 4 arms with all the weapons and everything. Because Kausalya had asked in the previous birth, when she asked for a boon to the Lord to be born as his son, that I should never become completely oblivious, even though I should love you as my son, but I should not be completely oblivious of your real nature. So that's the reason. Beautiful questions. Anybody else? Any questions or comments? Okay, so it is also the time. We'll close with the prayers. Thank you. Sarve bhavantu sukhinah, sarve santu niramayah, sarve bhadrani pashyantu, ma kaschit dukkha bhag bhavet. Om Purnamadaha Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Thank you everyone.